This brisk morning, guys. Winter is just around the corner. I'm not too happy about it, but it's okay. We're gonna get through. So yeah, welcome to our regularly scheduled meeting. Joy made a media advisory post yesterday, so the public has been aware. Alex is downstairs in case anyone would love to venture into the APA and sit through this meeting. And we have also shared the minutes in advance. So we'll just move on to roll. I am the Auditor of Public Accounts designee, Shauna Kraus. Office of Education Accountability designee, Sabrina Cummins.
Here.
Office of the Attorney General designee, Stacy Woodrum.
Here.
Commissioner of Education designee, Marshall Smith.
Here.
Office of the Governor designee, John Hicks. And we do have a quorum present, so we'll proceed. From the APA, as previously mentioned, we have Joy Markland. She is monitoring the Teams as well as YouTube, where we're live streaming to the public. And then we have Alex Evans recording minutes and monitoring the door in case we have anyone wander in. So, Marshall, do you want to introduce any guests from KDE?
Sure. We have Kim Carter, Jackie Chisholm, and Kelly Young.
Welcome, welcome. Okay, so first thing on the agenda is to approve last meeting's minutes. So September 12th, 2024, Alex circulated those around. Did anyone have any edits or additions that needed to be made to those minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the September 12th, 2024 minutes?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Stacy. Second. Thank you, Sabrina. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty, the minutes are approved. And not seeing any old business, we'll go ahead and skip down to new business. So the first thing on our agenda is to work through the Excel sheet. So the FY 2024 audit consideration report dated October 2024. So Marshall, I'll pass it over to you.
Sure. Well, thank you all. The tabs, this is a spreadsheet I present every meeting. The tabs with new information are highlighted in yellow. The very first one is summary tab, just to let everybody know what's following. The 23 audit reports. In our last meeting, we went through the results. We still had an outstanding report that had to be revised and submitted to us. We got that in, so we are totally done with 23 audits. In regard to the 24 audits, we did get one update on a firm's peer review, so we'll go through that later. And then regarding extensions, we got 30 requests across 12 firms. So we can go to our next yellow tab, which is fiscal year 24 peer reviews.
I'm going to share the screen so that they can see. Okay. Sorry. Can everyone see that? Okay, cool. All right. I'll zoom in a little too.
All right, and if you scroll down a little bit to row 47, you'll see we have a yellow highlight there next to Drain and Company. In our last meeting, they still had some corrective actions due from their previous peer review. We got a letter from the AICPA saying that those corrective actions have been satisfied, and they gave them a new peer review expiration date of November 30th, 2025. That letter was sent out by Alex, so everybody should have it if they want to review it. There's no actions needed by the committee here. We just want to provide that for information. And then if we go to our next yellow tab, which is fiscal year 24 audit extension requests. As I mentioned before, we got 30 requests across 12 firms. I'll go over these really just in summary of it. Going through it, we looked at the requested extended dates. Those dates are from December 1st until the end of January. Those dates are really reasonable. Getting some pushed out to the end of January really doesn't put us in a bind with getting through the reviews. Was the most common reason. We've been through every one of them. We don't see a reason to not approve any of these extension requests. So that'd be our recommendation to the committee. Does anyone have any concerns about any particular requests?
I do. I actually have concerns about some of the dates as well as some of the reasons
Okay.
and the fact that we have 30 this year. About 5 or 6 years ago, we were doing great. We were down to just a handful of extensions. Last year we had 20. We are up to 30 this year. We are in a situation where this needs to stop happening. I think we need to quit just blanketly approving some of these. I have issues with the ones that say, oh, we have a new finance officer, so we just need an extension. KDE matches them with a mentor the first year. Some of these are actually second-year finance officers. They started when the audit was done last year. In addition to that, there are contractors out there that districts can hire to come in and help them for a couple of days to get these audits completed. I also have an issue with auditors saying that this is their first year auditing this district and they need more time to complete it. I do not understand that reason. If you're doing a good job auditing and you continue to audit that same district, are you telling me that it takes you a lot less because you are not putting in the time required? I also have an issue with some of the responses, I believe almost all of them from Patrick and Associates. They say that the same thing on every one of them when you discuss why you need an audit extension. They say that they didn't get AFRs done, the district, till mid-August. AFRs are due to KDE by the end of July. I don't understand why all these districts supposedly are not getting their audit completed and sent to KDE by mid-August. I think that maybe on the audit contract submission form, that maybe we need to have KDE on the spreadsheet here actually say when the audits came in. Do we have that many that are not coming in before the end of July? I just really have issues with where we're at with these auditors right now. And we can go through some of them, like Bowling Green Independent. The same auditor requested an extension from them last year with the same reason. They have staffing issues. Breckenridge County also was a repeat. Butler was a repeat. Frankfort Independent was a repeat. Fulton, Crittenden, Livingston, McCreary, Pulaski were all repeat extensions. Frankfort Independent gave the same reason last year as they did this year. The finance officer was new. We need an extension. Same thing this year. Same thing for Gallatin County. They need an extension because the new finance officer was there during the audit last year. When you look at Marshall County's extension, Marshall County didn't even fill out why they say they needed an extension. The auditor did, but we have nothing from Marshall County. And then we have several that the field work didn't even start till like after October 14th, for instance, on Murray Independent. Why is field work starting after that late in the game? So those are a lot of my concerns. I do not like the dates for Fulton County. I don't like going out to January 15th and 31st. And I think a lot of these that are December 15th really could be December the 1st. I think our committee needs to reevaluate how we're handling some of these, because we are definitely going in the wrong direction as far as these extensions. And while these extensions, if we grant them through January, AFRs are not being given to us to report to legislators in time when they're in session. I think last year we didn't get the AFR data till sometime at the end of March, which really is unacceptable. So those are my comments. I don't know if anybody else has any.
I don't have as much historical knowledge and experience as you guys do, but I was alarmed by the number, 30. That was just kind of alarming to begin with. I agree. I don't like the January dates. And then, yeah, it seems very surface level with a lot of the reasons, things that, I don't know, I think like you push and you just get it done, right? And so thanks for sharing those concerns. That's extremely helpful for the committee to take in and evaluate. I don't know if Stacy or Marshall have any comments or any KDE guests.
I would comment. I do agree with that. I don't like the number of extensions, but at the same time, it ends up being a double-edged sword. Starting back COVID, I had a number of firms contact me and just say, "Hey, we just can't hire staff. I mean, we're wanting to do these audits, but we just can't hire enough staff to do them." I've heard that statewide. I've heard that national-wide, really, in some of the groups I got into. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword. I feel like we've had a decrease in the number of firms willing to do that. I think when I started, we had 31. We have, I think, 30 doing them this year, which we have one new firm doing, I think, just one district audit. But we've had a decrease in the number of firms doing the same amount of audits. And then on top of that, they've had staffing issues. I know, like Carl Riggs and Ingram, for instance, one of their, I think one of their, he was a manager there, he retired, and so they're inputting someone new in there in that role. That's why I've been hesitant to take more of a hard line with them, because what's the better option for them to not have an auditor, or for us to get the audit late? That's kind of been our choices. And so, yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. And some of the finance officers, they are newer. A lot of them, in working with them, are coming from a much different background. So we have been working, trying to get them going, on trying to get them up to speed quickly. So we've been doing the most that we can on that side of it.
We've talked for the last couple of years about having auditors not hiring enough people. And I've said over the last couple of years that it used to be KDE did audit training, and that maybe we needed to bring that back or do something to get more auditors. There's no reason for us to have an audit contract that says the audit should be in at this date if we're going to continue to allow 30 districts to not report on time. Something has to give here.
Outside of training, what would be your proposed solution? Like, we have the 30. Do we want to look at the extension request date and bump that up? Like, everyone needs to get them in by December 1st, or, yeah, I don't know. Because I know staffing is an issue in the accounting world, but it's like, we also have these deadlines that are in the contract that you sign with us. So it's a hard problem to solve, I guess. So I'd just love to hear some ideas from the committee or our guests.
I don't think we should move when the contracts are due. We discussed that years ago.
Okay.
When we had similar issues like this, when districts was getting out of control on these audit extensions. That's why we put in at the top of these requests that our committee would scrutinize these. And I feel like that we are not scrutinizing them like we used to get them done in time. I believe that some of them I actually read was, the finance officer requested it just to make sure they had enough time. Those are unacceptable. I think finance officers and auditors have gotten in the habit of us just blatantly approving things and not really looking at each one of them. Just to say, oh, I want another month and a half just in case I need it. No, I don't like that answer. I do think there is an issue, obviously, with the auditor, the number we have. And I believe that something has to happen for us to somehow or another recruit new auditors. In the beginning, when we started Munis, the way we recruited them, I worked at KDU back then, was we did audit training, invited auditors to come in to understand how to do these audits. And I believe that's what we need to do again, something like that when you've got one auditor that's doing what, 18 districts or?
Yeah.
That's, of course you're gonna have staffing issues.
Yeah.
There's no way you can get 18 districts done in the amount of time you need. And it's not that you're not hiring enough for that time frame. And I understand that you're not gonna hire somebody to just do 3 months worth of work. But at the same time, when you're signing these, and we did know that there was one or two that couldn't find an auditor that said, hey, if we take them on, we're going to have to file an extension for these two. That I understand. But the ones that continue to file extensions because they don't have enough staff when they signed them on earlier enough, I believe is just a concern. And the General Assembly needs updated financial information during the session. So to put these out this far is just really hard for us to provide the data they need to make informed decisions on what's getting allocated and what's getting done at the district level.
And for context, I would just say, we did get 30, but 25 of them are within a month. It's just a 1 month extension. And I would say the vast majority of these that we get, that Katie gets, they ask for 2 weeks or 4 week extension. We get them right at that date. We have had a couple stragglers, and we have dealt with those situations individually. We have had one or two that really pushed their way out there, and I felt like we've dealt with those and mitigated those particular situations.
Well, the one thing I don't like is that all of them put the same date for Patrick and Associates. All
Yes.
of them December 15th. Do you really need December 15th for all of them? Or is some of them going to get done before then? I don't think they're putting enough thought into truly what is it I can provide at the time. I think when you blanketly fill out a bunch and they all have the same date on it, they're not all going to be done at the last minute.
Yeah, that's true. I could say that for some of the districts had some of the auditors had a number of extensions, we would get them in as they get them done. I'm thinking for Patrick and Associates last year, they had a date for all of them. And then, some we would get 2 or 3 weeks early and some we would get right at that date that was on there. They would submit them to us as they got them done.
Were any of them by like the November 15th deadline, or were they all still beyond that?
For that one particular
Yeah, that
author?
example. Yeah, for Patrick.
I think so, but I'd have to look to be 100% sure. Like I know White and Associates, the firm that I think has 18 districts, they've only I think so. Let me double check. Yeah, I think that was the only district they submitted an extension for. And that was because of an issue they saw with their enterprise funds. Initially, they wanted to make sure they had more time to look at those particular funds. But yeah, like for that firm particularly, yes, they have 18 districts, but they're just asking for an extension on one of them.
I think that's great.
Which is reasonable.
Yeah.
I would say is reasonable.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let me stop for a second. If we do not feel comfortable, we can still, I think, are there more tabs? Yeah, there's at least one more
Yes.
tab. If we don't feel comfortable with just blanket approving these extensions, we would probably need to have a special meeting like next week to like come up with some sort of a solution for each of those. We just looked at that one for Somerset Independent. They, only one out of their 18 districts, they're requesting an extension. It's only a 1-month extension, and it's for a legitimate reason where they seem to have put in some thought behind their request.
Sure.
Approved, something like that. Whereas I think we do, to Sabrina's point, need to be a little bit more critical. And so that's kind of where I'm thinking the committee should probably steer towards, so that everyone can come back with a proposed yes or no and why they feel that, unless you guys are ready to do that now. Because it doesn't sound like the committee's in agreement on just a blanket approval for all 30.
If there was more discussion on if it's more than 30 days that they have to provide a more substantial time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't like approving anything past December 15th on the first program. I think we should hold their feet to the fire. Unless it's something like White and Associates that said, hey, we're having problems reconciling proprietary funds. Or the one that I've read was another one, I think, that might have had issues. But those, guess what? They're actually December 15th. So even though they're saying, hey, we've got issues with the way their accounting is done and we need to take a deeper look, they're only asking for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And the gaming activity one was another one that I was like, okay, I can understand that. You have a lot of things there that's not being recorded anywhere. I think my memory on that one was they were doing it on pieces of paper, which honestly is a little scary. That what's going on in Pineville, why hasn't nothing been put in here? Why is it that they're doing it hand and paper for 2 different funds, 52 and 53, and there's nothing in the school activity fund or units.
Yeah.
That's an issue.
And to what I add to that, we did reach out to that auditor to see if there was something going on that Katie needs to act now. And they came back and said, no, please wait for us to get done and then take our audit and then act as you think from that. So we did follow up with it.
I think maybe I'd be okay. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I would be okay with granting nobody past the 15th at this point of December. And I really think that this committee needs to take a hardcore stance and do something next year about this. Maybe we put a note on the auditor's concern about filing for extensions, and that we are going to start being like we were several years ago and and not just blanketly approving them just because. And if you have staffing issues, then you know that going in and you need to work around that. And that KDE should really look at doing something to recruit more auditors. One thing that would be helpful too would be on this spreadsheet, if we could add audit extensions request by district for the prior 2 years to the spreadsheet so that we can see how within the last 3 years has the same district requested an audit request. We do have several that have, and to me that's a flag.
I have it by firm and 23. We can look at that.
It would be good by district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to see which districts, and if we can add 2 years and not just prior. I know the sheet just does prior, and I'm fine with that. But for our review, I think it would be good to have current and prior 2 years.
Yeah, that's a great point.
This is what, 17 or 18% of our districts are now asking for extension. When we worked hard years ago to get this stopped. And we would just started telling people no.
If they're 13. Yeah, I agree.
The only comment I would add to that is I would feel more comfortable if we knew what to do if we end up with a district that can't secure an auditor. If a firm says, look, we would like to do it, but we don't have staff to get done by the deadline, and then we have a district that can't secure an auditor, how do we move forward? Because it is a law that the district gets an audit every year. And that's kind of been at least my kind of guiding principles. We would like to get all 171 of them November 15th. It would make our lives easier. But at the same time, we don't have the staff to review 171 really within 2 or 3, 4 weeks of November 15th. So we're not going to get to them all anyway. So if we have a few that stretch out, it doesn't put us behind. And so
this is not a few. And I understand the 2 that are on here that said, hey, we couldn't find an auditor. And we knew up front. I agree with those 2. And in those situations, I think that's reasonable. But I do think if there was some training provided out there, either through KDE, CASBO, somebody has to pick up the ball and do something to try to get more auditors to audit them so that we're not in this situation. So I'm fine with not giving anybody past December 15th.
I think that's fair. It's just the 5, and so I think that's a fair assumption and rule to make for them. Are there any that you would suggest holding back and then we can look at, or a little too late now? Let's just go ahead and approve this year.
Too late now. Next, I think throughout this next
Mhm.
year, we should really work on what it is we expect and communicating that with the auditors up front, and working with KDE on how we're going to secure more auditors. So for this year, I'm okay with just being like, okay, we're going to give it one more year and be like, here we go. This is, we're going to allow. So we are going to start scrutinized next year, and there better be good reasons, and you know what you can do, and get these things in so that we can have the data to provide to the General Assembly in a timely manner instead of getting AFRs at the end of March.
Okay. Does everyone feel okay with that?
I
Well,
do.
okay. We can go ahead and make a motion on this, and then we can do desk reviews, kind of jump down to C, then back up to A on the agenda if you guys are good with that. Unless, Marshall, did you have things you wanted to share outside of this tab for the extensions?
No.
Okay.
It's all in this tab.
Okay, cool. Then is there a motion to approve the extension request with the slight adjustment that all requested extension dates be moved to December 15th, 2024?
Any of them that are past December
Yeah.
5th. The one that's.
I think it's just,
I'm fine with.
I think it was just those 5, right? So,
Yeah, there are 5 past the 15th.
okay.
So
Well,
just to be clear, everybody would be granted the extension until 12/15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody that is past, that requested past 12/15. So the January 15th will be 12/15.
Okay.
And then there's a couple, is it Crittenden that's not on here, and McLean?
Yeah, we did. I added those to my side. I apologize for that. We had 2 that came in after I sent these to Alex.
Okay.
It's Crittenden County, and they requested an extension to 12/15 because of staffing issues, and also McLean County, which they requested an extension until 12/20. And they said for a combination of scheduling and health issues with the finance officer, they caused delays in getting started with the work.
Okay. So making that one a 12/15, approved to 12/15 for all of them. And scrutinize more going forward.
Okay.
Start laying down the hammer and getting these in a lot sooner. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Sabrina. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Marshall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Awesome. So moved. And then lastly is the desk review.
Yes, if you go to our next yellow tab, fiscal year 23, desk review TD corrections. When we met last time, I think we had one outstanding 23 report to get revised and submitted to us. That was Greene County, and that's row 18. I got that on. We got that on October 7th.
Okay.
Of course, that came in after I sent this to Alex. So So that's why it's not on your on the spreadsheet you have. We got that October 7th. So nothing we need to do there, just informational, and let everyone know that we got everything in, and in 23 days reviews are all settled.
Any comments or questions on this one? Okay. And then I think the last thing was Drain CPA's peer review, which we kind of talked about in the beginning. It was just informational. So I think we're good as far as new business is concerned. We don't have any miscellaneous. And then unless anyone else has anything miscellaneous they'd like to throw in. The next thing's future meeting dates. So, sorry, there was a slight error on the agenda for today's meeting. Those meetings will be held via Teams, not Zoom, which you guys are on Teams, so you have figured out that that's what we're using, but just wanted to make that known. So we will be doing Teams meeting for the committee members and guests, and then Joy is live streaming it via YouTube to the public, as well as our doors are open here at APA. So the next two meetings in March of 2025 will be held virtually. And then our next in-person meeting will be at the APA on June 12th, 2025. And then,
I'm sorry, Sandra.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what are we gonna do? We're approving, we just approved those for the 15th of December. If we don't come back in until March, do we need to have a special meeting? Do possibly, doesn't come in by the 15th to really look at how long we want to extend, if any. I know in the past we had always given KDE provisional authority to do that. So I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What it is to do today to.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I didn't think about that. I am open to suggestions, giving Katie provisional rights, or we can schedule something. Looks like the 19th is the following Thursday. The 15th is on a Sunday. So will those be due on Friday or Monday?
Monday.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to hear from the other committee members on what you guys would suggest for those that we just approved extensions. If they do not submit it to KDE by the 16th, since it's on a weekend, what should we do about those outstanding districts?
Yeah, I thought about that when right before she brought that up, and it's not unusual for us to have, a deadline right now is November 15th. It's not unusual for someone to call me on the 13th and say, my computer just blew up. I got to have an extension. And so I wanted to let you guys, know about that and just inquire what everyone else's thoughts were. I'm fine if you guys want to give KD provisional authority to approve out to December 15th. And then if someone happened to ask for beyond that, we could come together again in a special meeting.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So between now and December 15th, KDE will have provisional authority to approve those extensions. If any extensions come in that are requested beyond December 15th, then we'll call a special meeting and look at those individually. Okay. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Does anyone else have any last minute thoughts? All righty. Well, if nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
A motion.
Thank you. Second goes to Sabrina. And all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Well, we'll be in contact soon. Thank you guys so much for your participation today. Thank you, Marshall and team, for putting everything together and keeping everything on track. So we appreciate it, and we'll figure this out together. But thank you guys so much, and y'all have a great day. Bundle up out there.